Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to do a video talking about the boring things. Now these are something that you're probably not going to see on social media a whole lot. And to be quite blunt, it's because boring exercises do not get views, right? They don't get views, they don't get likes, they're not flashy. The whole 9 yards, anything that someone might be trying to get out of social media, the boring exercises just aren't going to cut it. Now, the funny thing is, usually it's the boring stuff that's going to build your total the most as a powerlifter. So a great example is on social media, lifters love to post singles or heavy singles, doubles, triples. Any of that is going to get a lot of attention because it's heavyweight and people like to watch, other lifters lift heavy weight. But what that can do is it can present a false reality that all of the top lifters are just lifting heavy singles all the time. And I've talked about this in past videos, but I just wanted to kind of go off of this while showing some of my actual boring work from training, right? What you'll notice from these sets in the bench press, incline bench, we're going to have some tempo bench press in there, as well as some football bar bench. None of those lifts are done with super heavy weight. This is a deload week for me, so it's especially not heavy. And it's going to be well within rep ranges that I can do myself, and the effort is not maximal. And part of that is because you just simply can't sustain maximal training for extended periods of time. There's times to hit the gas in training, and there's times to kind of, practice on your technique. And these tempo benches that I'm showing here are a great example of something that are fantastic for building technique, right? 3 seconds down or a 3 count down and then a 0 count up. So basically trying to be explosive from the bottom to really learn where my elbows are and where my touch point is for the bench press to really be consistent. But the thing is, if you're going to focus on a tempo, then you also can't really focus on a ton of weight because it's going to go one way or the other. And if it gets too heavy, then the form that you're trying to ingrain is going to get out the window. So that's kind of part of the reason why I have to go lighter on these tempo sets. And this is something I can say from experience. If I post these on YouTube or Instagram, they don't get a ton of love because from an outsider's perspective, one, it's slow because it's tempoed on the way down, and then two, it doesn't appear to be very difficult because I'm pressing them pretty easily and then stopping well short of failure. And what that incentivizes is not posting these kind of exercises on social media, which that's totally fine. But whenever you put someone who's in a different position than myself, say a social media influencer who gets their income from social media, then they're just not going to post these things at all. Whereas I'm in a different situation because I'm a teacher. I'm not relying on the social media as a form of income. So, I don't mind posting these things. And what it does, I think, for beginner lifters, it can make them think that the boring stuff has no place in a training routine. And, I think especially with the influx of young lifters that have come through in the past several years with powerlifting, this is a big deal because they all think that singles and the more flashy things in training are what build these giant totals. And I can guarantee you that any of the top lifters in the sport are going to be doing these boring things, but they just don't post them because it's there's no incentive to, because there's no positive feedback on the social media front. So, I just wanted to get this video out there to you all to say, hey, do the boring stuff and embrace the boring stuff. There's ways that you can improve other than moving just a heavy weight. Like for me personally, with this football bar bench that you can see here, one of my main goals this week was to increase my range of motion, because I had noticed in the past couple of weeks I was kind of cutting my lockout short. I didn't have a super great reason for it. I think it was just comfortable, and maybe I was being a little lazy with the movement, not fully extending my elbows. And you will notice that I do not touch my chest with this movement. Now, that's a little bit more strategic, because I've had issues in the past where I've strained a pec with the football bar, and I feel like I'm in that compromised position, especially since it's a cambered bar. So yeah, I try and get as close as possible until I feel that stretch, and then I go up. But something for me to personally focus on this week was fully extending my arms and completing full reps on the football bar bench. And that's a great example of something that, I can focus on the boring stuff, full extension of the reps, right? Maybe controlling the tempo, just like the tempo bench. Consistent touch spots. That's something that I constantly think about on my tempo days. If it's lower body, it could be positioning or perfecting your walkout on the squat, making your walkout as efficient as possible. A lot of people overlook that, and they end up stumbling on game day or for their heavy singles, and they waste a lot of energy that could otherwise be used to move the heavier weight when the time comes, but they don't have that, ingrained perfection, because they haven't done it over and over and over hundreds of times with the more boring work that's not going to accumulate the type of fatigue that a super exciting heavy single would, right? So, there's lots of things to be taken from training other than just moving heavy weight and pushing things to failure. That isn't me saying that you can't do that or you shouldn't do that. There's certainly a time and a place. I just wanted to share with you all that, hey, go do this boring stuff. If it's in your training, it's in there for a reason, and don't skip out, because you're only doing yourself a disservice. And I wanted to show you, hey, a higher level lifter like myself also does this stuff, and hey, it's not fun. Okay, so thanks for tuning in. Let me know, what is your most boring exercise down in the comments. Like and subscribe as always. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy lifting.